Then the Buddha teaches us the discourse of Mahasi Sutta, the four foundations of mindfulness. He classified the mindfulness, the four categories. First one, Kaya Nupassana Satipatthana, mindfulness of bodily phenomena. The second, Vedana Nupassana Satipatthana, mindfulness of a feeling or sensation. The third, Citta Nupassana Satipatthana, mindfulness of citta, consciousness or mental states. The fourth, Dhamma Nupassana Satipatthana, the mindfulness of a Dhamma. When we are mindful of any physical phenomena, that's called Kaya Nupassana Satipatthana. When we are aware of any feeling or sensation, pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, or neutral feeling, that is Vedana Nupassana Satipatthana, mindfulness of feeling or sensation. When we are mindful of any consciousness, such as distraction, restlessness, anger, hatred, and so on, it's called Citta Nupassana Satipatthana, mindfulness of consciousness or mental states. When we observe any Dhamma, such as 5 kinds of Nivarana hindrances, and 5 aggregates, and 12 ayatanat, and so on, they are called, it's called Dhamma Nupassana Satipatthana, mindfulness of a Dhamma. Though the omniscient Buddha classified 4 categories, but we need not choose any Anupassana, any Satipatthana to develop, to practice. What we should do is to be mindful of whatever naturally and predominantly arises in our body and mind as it is. That's all. Then practical aspect of this meditation, when we practice, we have 3 aspects of a practice: sitting, walking, and awareness of our daily activities. In sitting meditation, whatever arises in our body and mind during sitting, we have to be mindful of, we have to observe it as it really occurs. During walking meditation, during walking, we have to be mindful of the movement of the foot, lifting movement, pushing movement, dropping movement of the foot. Because while we are walking, the movement of the foot is predominant aspect, so it must be observed, it must be noted, it must be mindful of as it is. Apart from sitting and walking, there are many actions and movements we do for the whole day. All of these actions and movements are called daily activity, so that meditators can rightly and easily understand the technique. This awareness of daily activities is known as Sambhajanya Papa in Mahasi Sutta. Sambhajanya Papa means a chapter on clear comprehension or a chapter on full awareness. The Lord Buddha teaches us this Sambhajanya Papa chapter on daily activities separately, because it's very much important for a meditator to be aware of, to be mindful of as it is. Yes, first of all, when we sit, first of all, we have to pay respect to the triple gems, bow and down 3 times to the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha. Then after that, As I explained to you earlier, we must apologize any noble one or anyone who is endowed with Sila, Samadhi, Panya. If we happen to wrong to him, intentionally or unintentionally, or consciously or unconsciously, we have to make an apology to him, as I explained you earlier. After apology has been made, then we must instruct ourselves to the Buddha and to the meditation teacher. Then we have to practice the 4 protection meditation, Buddha-Nusri Bhavana, recollection of the Buddha's attribute. After that, Asubha Bhavana, recollection of loathsome aspects of the body. Then Maranasati, recollection of the death. Then Metta Bhavana, cultivating or development of love and kindness and metta towards all living beings. When we practice mindfulness and meditation, we have to do all actions and movements slowly so that we can observe each individual actions and movements attentively, precisely. Each individual actions and movement has 3 characteristics. To realize these 3 characteristics, anicca, dukkha, anatta, of any actions or movement, we have to be mindful of. We have to observe all the actions and movement we do for the whole day. Then to be able to observe each and every actions and movement, we have to slow down all our actions and movement deliberately. If we do all actions and movement normally, steadily, we are unable to observe each actions and movement precisely. That's why we need to slow down all actions and movements we do for the whole day. When we come to meditation hall, we have to slow our step, slow down our stepping, observing right, left, left foot, right foot. When we make left step, we should observe the movement of the left foot. So whatever you do, we must do slowly, so that we can observe all actions and movements precisely, attentively enough. As I explained to you, when a meditator comes to meditation hall, observing the movement of the foot very well. Movements, motion, vibrations are the specific characteristic of a wind or air element, vayu dhatu. It arises a very instantly processed way, so it's impermanent. It's a specific characteristic of a movement, motion, vibration, support, and we have to observe all actions and movement. Only if we slow down all actions and movement, we are able to realize the specific characteristics of a wind or air element, vayu dhatu. That's why meditator comes to meditation hall by being aware of the movement of the foot very precisely, attentively. When we reach in front of the Buddha statues, then he has to sit down to pay respect to the triple gems, the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha. The sitting down must be done very slowly so that he can be mindful of every actions, each movement of a sitting down. Make a mental note as a sitting, not verbal note, mental note, labeling. Mental note helps the mind to focus on the object very attentively, precisely. That's why we have to use the mental note or labeling. Make a mental note, sitting down. When the body touches the floor or the seat, touching. Bow down to the Buddha statue. The bowing movement must be observed, must be mindful of as it is. making mental note as bowing, bowing, bowing. When he touches the floor of the carpet, when his forehead touches the floor of the carpet, or when both hands touches the floor, touching. When we are about to lift his hand and head, then intention, then lifting, slowly moving up his body, his head, and then he gets in the normal position. Then again, he puts his both hands to forehead as a respect. He should observe all the movements. And again, he put the hands down to the floor, and also the head also down to the floor. All actions and movement, he acts involved in the bowing down must be observed as it really occurs. Only after he has done 3 times bowing, then he sit for meditation. When he sits for meditation, he should sit a cross-legged position or in any proper position which is suitable for him to sit long. Sitting, then both hands should be placed in ankle. The legs should be placed side by side. One leg inside and the other leg outside, placing side by side. The body must be kept erect, straight, not stretching, just straight. And the head and the neck also must be kept in straight position. Close the eye and then focus the mind towards the object. Here in Mahasi technique of a tradition, we use the rising movement and falling movement of the abdomen as the primary object of meditation. That is a Vayota to wind element. So we start with it. Focus our mind on the abdomen movement and observe when the abdomen moves forward. Make a mental note as rising. When the abdomen moves backwards, make a mental note falling. Or sometimes the movement is not forward and backward. It moves upwards and downward. If upward movements, then note rising. Then when we have a downward movement, note falling, rising, falling. Perceiving actual movements of the process, rising process and falling process. Mere saying words is not meditation. Words or mental note labeling helps the mind to focus on actual movements of rising process and falling process attentively, precisely. In this way, we start sitting meditation. Now, better to demonstrate how to come to meditation, or how to sit, how to bow down, how to sit, and so on. Now, one of our monks will demonstrate it. When you sit, body should be an upright position, keep it straight, no stretching. Then relax both body and mind. Do not body and mind feel tense. Let both body and mind relax. Then focus the mind to the rise and fall movement of the abdomen. When you breathe in, the abdomen moves forward or upward. When you breathe out, the abdomen moves downward or backwards. When the abdomen moves forward or upward, you observe it, the movements of rising process, note it as rising. When the abdomen moves backward or downward, you should be aware of the movements of the downward process. Make a mental note as falling. In this way, the mind should be focused on the rising movement and falling movements. Noting rising, falling, rising, falling. Your breathing must be normal and natural. You must hold your breathing. You must make a vigorous breath or strong breath. You must make a quick breath. The breathing must be normal and natural. But the mind should not go to nostril. This is not anapanasati meditation, not respiration meditation. This is contemplation of one or air element in the abdomen. So the mind should focus on rising movement and falling movement of the abdomen. Try to perceive the rising movements of rising process or movements of a falling process. But in the beginning of the practice, you are unable to experience. You are unable to experience these movements. What you realize, what you know is just the movements, forward movements of the abdomen, down, backward movements of the abdomen. In this way, when you contemplate on rising and falling movement of the abdomen, the mind doesn't stay with the movements. It goes out, wanders and thinks about very often. Then you must not bring the mind back to the object. You should follow the mind and observe it. Make a mental note as thinking, until that wandering mind, thinking mind has to disappear. Wandering, or thinking. After the thinking mind has to disappear, your noted mind should return to the primary object, that is rising movement and falling movement. Note as usual, rising and falling. So long as the mind doesn't go or doesn't wander, you should observe the movements of the abdomen. Make a mental note as rising, falling, rising, falling. If the rising and falling movement of the abdomen is not clear enough, you can put both hands upon the abdomen like this. When the abdomen moves forward, the hand feels it. When the abdomen moves backward, the hands feel it. Then you can note rising, falling, rising, falling. If you observe the rising movement and falling movements through the feeling of the head for say about 3 or 4 minutes or 5 minutes. You may be able to observe the movement without the hand putting on it. Then you can put down the hand slowly, and then continue to observe the movements, rising movements and falling movements. Make a mental note, rising, falling. When you are observing the rising movements and falling movements of the abdomen, if you hear any sound or voice, then you should note that sound or voice, hearing. Then after that come to the primary object, note as usual, rising, falling. While you are noting rising, falling movements, you may feel itchy sensation in the back. That itchy sensation is more distinct than the abdominal movement. Then you should observe the itchy sensation. Itchy. When the itchiness has disappeared, then the note might return to the primary object, note as usual. Rising, falling. While you are contemplating rising and falling movement of the abdomen, when you feel any painful sensation in any part of the body, for example, in the knee or the leg or the thigh, you must not change its position. You must observe that painful sensation. Make a mental note as pain, attentively, precisely. By being patient with the pain, you have to continue to note it, to observe it. The purpose of noting of the pain is to realize the true nature of the pain. The pain is feeling or sensation, unpleasant physical sensation, unpleasant physical feeling. It also arises and passes away. So it's impermanent. Because it's impermanent, it's unsatisfactory. It's neither a person nor a being, neither is it nor is soul. So the painful sensation has 3 characteristics: impermanence, suffering, impersonal nature, or no soul. To realize these 3 characteristics, you have to observe the painful sensation. When your concentration is deep enough, you can realize these 3 characteristics of the pain very well. Eventually, when the mind is more and more deeply concentrated on the pain, then the pain becomes decreasing and then disappeared. When the pain has disappeared, you come to realize the pain is impermanent, it's not permanent. As soon as the pain has disappeared, your mind returns to the primary object, rising, falling movement. Note rising, falling, rising, falling. But sometimes you feel the painful sensation very loud. Though you note it, you observe it, the pain doesn't disappear. It just keeps going on. Then you should continue to observe it as much as possible. If the pain becomes unbearable, if you cannot bear it any longer, you must not change the position. You should get up and practice walking meditation. That's the better. If you change your position, it becomes a bad habit. Later on, even though you don't have any painful sensation, you have a tendency to change the position, and unconsciously you have changed it. Then your concentration breaks. So, not to have the bad habit of changing position. Do not change position because of the pain. If the pain becomes unbearable, then you get up and practice walking meditation. In this way, you have to be aware of, you have to be mindful of whatever arises in your body and mind as it really occurs during sitting. Here, the most important thing in this meditation is to observe, to know, to be mindful of any process of thinking, any process of a thought that arises in the sitting as well as in the walking. Whenever a thought arises, you should observe it, you should note it, make a mental note as thinking, until the thought has disappeared. When you know thinking, your noting should be more attentive and more energetic, so that your noting mind becomes more and more powerful than thinking process. When the noting mind becomes more powerful, thinking process becomes weaker and weaker. Then gradually thinking stops in a short time. Then you come to realize thinking mentality is impermanent. It arises and it passes away. After the thinking has disappeared, then you may return to the primary object. That's the rising, falling movements of the abdomen. In this way, while you are sitting, observing the primary object, the main object, that's the rising and falling movement. But if there is any other mental process or physical process to note rising, then you note that mentality or physicality until it has disappeared. After it has disappeared, you return to the primary object, that's the rising and falling movement. Rising movements and falling movement, the abdomen is just a primary object of meditation, or main object of meditation, not the only single object of Vipassana meditation. It's one of many varieties of mentality and physicality which arises in the body and mind. So it's not much more important than the other mental process or physical process. It's given to meditator as the primary object of meditation because so long as the person is alive, respiration and breathing or breathing, he does. So this rising movement and falling movements is, so to say, ever present. That means so long as the person is alive. That's why the rising movement, falling movements of the abdomen, iota to wind or air element, is given to meditator as a primary object of meditation to be aware of, to be mindful of when there's no other mental states or physical process to note. So meditator must not be attached to rising, falling movement of the abdomen. It is also one of the object of Vipassana meditation, mindfulness meditation, as the other mental states or physical process. So when there is any other mental phenomenon or physical phenomenon arising distantly or more distant than the abdominal movement, you should note that mental phenomenon or physical phenomenon until it has disappeared. After it has disappeared, you should come to the primary object, that's the rise and fall and movement of the abdomen, note as usual. So in this way, in sitting meditation, you should practice in accordance with the Mahasi Sutta, discourse of the four foundations of mindfulness. Now, we would like to talk about the walking meditation together with the demonstration. We'll get up slowly, mindfully, and then walk to the place where he is going to walk. Every actions, movements must be mindful of, doing it slowly, being aware of each actions and movement very well. Now, the meditator will practice walking meditation. First of all, in the beginning of the walk, he should note left foot and right foot, observing the movement of the foot very well, slowly. His stepping must not be long. It should be a length of a foot, not longer than that. When he put down the foot, he should put it down flat, not the heel first or the toe first. The whole sole of the foot should touch the floor or the ground evenly. Only then he can practice walking very well. He must not look wrong here and there. If the desire to look wrong rises, the desire must be noted as a desire, until the desire has disappeared. If the desire to look round has disappeared, he won't look round. Then he can maintain his mindfulness and concentration on the movement of the foot. He should look at about 6 feet ahead, 2 meters ahead, not nearer than that. If we look at nearer than 2 meters, say about 2 feet or 1 meter, he has to bend his head too low. So in a short time he feels tense in the neck, in the head. Sometimes he feels headache, sometimes he feels dizzy, sometimes he feels aching in the back. So he should not look at nearer than 2 meters, so that he can get freed of these desirable attentions. Now he will start to observe the movement of the foot, practice in walking. Left, right, 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 left, standing, 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 standing. Then intention to turn, intention, intention. Then turning, 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 turning. Then he stands up, standing, standing, standing. In this way, meditator should note left and right movement of the foot about 10 minutes. After that, she should increase the object of her meditation. When she lifts the foot, observe lifting movements. When she pushes it forward, observe pushing movement. When he puts it down, when he drops it down, observe dropping movement. In this way, he will observe lifting, pushing, dropping, lifting, pushing, dropping, slowly. You have to slow down more so that you can perceive each lifting, pushing part of the foot. Lifting, pushing, dropping, lifting, pushing, dropping, lifting, pushing, dropping, lifting, pushing, dropping. Then stand still, standing, 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 standing. Then he notes it, intention, intention, intention. Then turn the body, turning, turning, Then he walk again, note, lifting, pushing, dropping again. Then standing, then intention, turning, 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 turning. Now he will note 5 parts of the step, 5 parts of the step to lifting, pushing, dropping, touching, pressing. Then you have to slow down, move. Lifting, pushing, dropping, touching, pressing, lifting, pushing, dropping, touching, pressing, lifting, pushing, dropping, touching, pressing. And you note standing. And again you turn the body. Intention, turning, 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 turning. Then standing. Then you will increase one more object to note. You would note lifting, raising, pushing, dropping, touching, pressing, 6 parts. And note lifting, raising, pushing, dropping, touching, pressing, 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 and so on. each actions and movements, each movement is preceded by intention. Before lifting, there's an intention to lift. Before pushing forward, there's an intention to push. Before touching, there's no intention. So, before touching, there's no intention touching. Then before pressing, there's an intention to pressing. In this way, there are many intentions before each movement and action. But now, meditator will observe only one intention before lifting. Before lifting, only one intention. Then the others are as usual. Intention, lifting, raising, pushing, dropping, touching, pressing, and so on. Intention, lifting, raising, pushing, dropping, touching, pressing. Intention, lifting, raising, pushing, dropping, touching. You have to slow up both your stepping should be slower so that you can catch the intention before lifting movements. Standing, 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 standing. Now, we will demonstrate the third aspect of a practice, that's awareness of a daily activity. How a meditator walks to the place where he is going to drink water. Then when he will go to the place where he has to observe the movement of the foot. If it's possible, 3 parts. If it's impossible, left to right. Now she is going to walk to the place where he is to sit and drink water. Noting 3 parts: lifting, pushing, dropping. Lifting, pushing, dropping. She will drink. Then first of all, she would reach his hand towards the glass, slowly observing each movement of first reaching, 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 touching, touching, holding, 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 lifting, 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 bringing, 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 and so on. Opening the mouth, opening, opening, then drink, drinking, drinking, drinking. Swallowing the water along the throat, swallowing. Then putting down, putting down, putting down, putting down, putting down, putting down. Then we will get up and walk to his room. By being mindful of all actions and movement, slowing down all actions and movement. This is the brief explanation of the technique of mindfulness meditation, Vipassana meditation. But I think because we have a demonstration, so meditators will rightly understand how to practice, how to sit for meditation, how to practice walking meditation, how to practice daily activities. Then here we would like to a few words about some points. When we observe any mental state or physical process, we have to make a mental note of it. We have to label it. Labeling mental note is not meditation, but it's called Tajja Panyati. Tajja Panyati is necessary for meditator to use so that his mind can be focused on the object of meditation attentively, precisely. That's why we have to use this mental note. Labeling helps the mind to focus on the object of meditation attentively, precisely. Only then our concentration becomes deeper. If we are just aware of the object without noting, without labeling, then our awareness, our mindfulness is very poor, weak and shallow, superficial. So the mind wanders very often, goes off, thinks about something else very often, because it doesn't take the object attentively, precisely. So to focus the mind on the object of meditation attentively, precisely, labeling or mental note helps the mind. But when our meditative practice is in advanced stage, suppose that we experience 11th stage of insight knowledge, Sankharupakhanyana. Such a time, our mindfulness, our viriya effort, our concentration is naturally powerful, sharp and penetrating enough. So we need not label it. We need not use it labeling a mental note. We should drop the mental note and labeling at that time. Naturally, the mind also drops the mental note and labeling because mindfulness, effort and concentration are very powerful naturally by themselves. So they do not need the noting and labeling. This is the noting and labeling of the object. Then again, we have to slow down all actions and movement as much as possible. We deliberately slow down all actions and movement. Why should we do that? Because most of the time we have to observe Vayodhatu, wind elements, air elements. In our body, there are many different Vayo, wind or air going along, going in the body. That's why most of the time we have to observe the Vayodhatu, wind element. Vayodhatu, wind element has its specific characteristic and an individual characteristic. When a meditator, his mind is well concentrated and attain purification of mind, citta, visuddhi, then he begins to realize sabhava lakhana and samanya lakhana of mental and physical phenomena. Sabhava lakhana here means specific or individual characteristic of mental and physical phenomena. Vayodhatu has movement, motion, vibration, supporting as its specific and mind individual characteristic. To realize these movements, we have to slow down. To realize these movements of the body, the hand, the leg, the limb, we have to slow down all actions and movement and try to perceive each individual movement of the process. Each individual movement of the process is the specific characteristic wind or air element. That's why we have to slow down all actions and movement when we practice mindfulness and meditation. So may all of you rightly understand the technique of mindfulness and meditation and the purpose of labeling and noting and the purpose of slowing down, and strive your best and attain the cessation of suffering, Nibbana.
Sadhu, sadhu.